The wolf titan was dead. Its burning carcass lay across the desert like a fallen mountain, ribs jagged like blackened pyramids. The Nile reflected its smoking corpse, water running red with ash. Cairo was silent, an unnatural silence, the kind that comes only after the storm. For the first time in days, the wolves stopped howling. The battle was over. But Omar did not celebrate. He stood atop the titan's cracked skull, breathing fire and blood. His chest heaved with every ragged inhale, muscles torn, skin scorched. Hieroglyphs across his body, still glowing faintly. The fire within him had not gone out. It flickered, fragile, like a dying star. The soldiers below shouted his name, their cries echoing through the ruins. Omar! 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 But Omar's face was not triumph. His eyes searched the horizon. He knew better than to believe it was over. Karim reached him first, climbing the smoking remains of the monster, rifle strapped to his back, uniform shredded. "You did it, Habibi," he said, voice broken with awe. "You brought down a god." Omar looked down at him, eyes heavy with something darker. "No, Karim. That howl, it wasn't just a death cry. It was a call." Karim froze. "A call." Omar nodded, staring at the black clouds gathering far to the west. "The wolf titan's death has woken the others." Below, Amina staggered forward, leaning on her rifle. Her face was streaked with blood and dust, but her eyes were sharp. "Then, this isn't the end. It's the beginning." The three of them stood in silence, watching Cairo burn, watching the horizon shift with distant tremors. Each tremor was too heavy, too deliberate to be thunder. Something vast was moving, several somethings. In the city, civilians began to emerge from bunkers, blinking into the smoky dawn. Children cried. Mothers held their hands to the sky in prayer. Old men clutched Qurans to their chest. Soldiers leaned on broken rifles, their exhausted cheers fading into unease. Because everyone felt it. The air was heavier. The earth trembled like a drum beneath their feet. The wolf titan had been only the first. Omar climbed down from the skull, legs nearly collapsing under his weight. Karim steadied him, but Omar pushed his hand away. His pride wouldn't allow it. "I must stand," he muttered. "If humanity sees me fall, they will believe we are broken." Amina's gaze softened. "You're human, Omar. You're allowed to rest." Omar looked at her, jaw tight. Humans don't rest. Not when the world is burning. The generals gathered near the wreckage of the Titan. Tanks lined the desert edge, their cannons still glowing from fire. Drones circled overhead, recording the fallen beast for all the world to see. And the world was already watching. News broadcasts streamed live across continents. In New York, in Tokyo, in Moscow, billions saw Omar standing over the corpse of the wolf titan. They saw hope where, before there had been only fear. For the first time, humanity realized titans could die. But the leaders knew what Omar knew. Killing one titan was not victory. It was an invitation. General Hassan spoke first, voice low. The Americans confirmed seismic activity near the Andes. The Russians report movement in Siberia. Something is waking everywhere. A silence fell over the group. Karim's fist clenched. "Then we prepare. If Omar can kill one, we can kill them all." Omar didn't answer. His eyes were still fixed on the horizon, on the shadows that stretched further each moment. He thought of the fire inside him, the ancient curse or gift carved into his skin. It had saved Cairo, but it had nearly killed him. How many more times could he do it? Night fell heavy over Cairo. Soldiers worked tirelessly, pulling survivors from rubble, patching wounds, burying the dead. Families lit candles along the Nile, their flames trembling in the wind. The pyramid stood scarred, one side cracked from the Titan's fall, but still standing, like humanity itself. Omar walked alone through the ruins of the city. Every step echoed with ghosts. He passed children saluting him, mothers whispering his name like a prayer. He said nothing. His silence spoke louder than words. He stopped at the crater where his fire had ended the Titan. The ground still smoldered, glowing faintly like a wound that would never heal. Omar knelt, pressing his hand to the ash. More are coming, he whispered. And I don't know if I can survive them. But deep within, the hieroglyphs on his chest pulsed again, stronger this time, as if Egypt itself refused to let him quit. And far away, on another continent, a titan stirred in its sleep. Its eyes opened. Its roar shook mountains. The news spread faster than fire. Before the wolf titan's ashes had cooled, every channel on Earth carried the same breaking headline. Seismic events detected worldwide. Titans awakening. In New York, stock markets crashed. In Moscow, emergency sirens wailed. In Beijing, jets scrambled across the sky. Humanity had barely survived one titan, and now the ground trembled under the weight of more. Far across the Atlantic, in the frozen Siberian tundra, ice began to split like glass under a hammer. Hunters fled as cracks ripped across the snow. From beneath the permafrost, something massive stirred. A claw broke through, larger than a tank. Then, another. The ground convulsed as a second titan pulled itself free, its body black with ice, its maw filled with jagged teeth glowing faintly blue. The cameras caught its first roar. It wasn't a howl like the wolf titans. It was deeper, heavier, like glaciers shattering. Across the world, people who heard it dropped to their knees. Back in Cairo, Omar listened to the broadcast in silence. The room was packed with generals, world leaders patched in through satellite screens, soldiers lined against the walls. Everyone waited for him to speak. But Omar said nothing. He stared at the flickering image of the Siberian titan, his hands clenched on the table. General Hassan finally broke the silence. "We need you in Russia." The words hit like a hammer. Karim stood. "He just killed one. You saw the state he's in. If we throw him at another monster so soon." Omar raised his hand. His voice was steady. "If I do not go, millions will die." Amina slammed her fist on the table. "You'll die, Omar. You can't keep burning your body like this. Look at yourself. You're barely standing." Her words cut through him. She was right. His muscles ached like fire, every breath stabbed like glass, and the ancient script etched across his skin still glowed faintly, as though his veins carried molten metal instead of blood. But Omar's face was stone. "Better me than them." The room fell silent. World leaders spoke one by one, their voices heavy with desperation. "The American general, our nukes won't scratch it. We need your man." The Russian minister, "Our land burns already. If you will not send him, we are lost." The Japanese envoy, "Omar is proof humanity can fight. Without him, we are only prey." Omar looked at each of them. Their fear wasn't just for their own people. It was for all of humanity. The Titans weren't creatures of one nation. They were extinction itself. Later that night, Omar stood alone atop the pyramid of Kafr. Cairo glowed beneath him, scarred but alive. The wind carried the scent of ash and Nile water. Amina approached, her steps soft against the ancient stone. "Why do you never rest?" Omar didn't turn. "Because Titans do not rest." She swallowed, voice breaking. "And what about humanity? What about me? You think we don't need you alive more than we need you dead?" For the first time, his eyes softened. He turned to her, battle-hardened yet weary. "I am not alive, Amina. I am fire in human form. Fire burns until nothing is left. That is all I am." Tears welled to her eyes, but she said nothing. She only stood beside him, watching the stars fade under smoke. Dawn came with urgency. A convoy of armored trucks carried Omar to an airbase. Soldiers saluted as he passed, some with tears in their eyes. They knew what he was walking into. Karim walked beside him. "Listen, brother. When you killed the wolf titan, I saw something in you. Something beyond human. Maybe this curse on your body is more than we understand. Maybe you're not alone in this." Omar gave him a rare half-smile. "If I am not alone, Karim, then humanity itself carries this fire. That is all that matters." Karim gripped his shoulder. "Then carry it to Russia. Show the world again what we are made of." The jet engine screamed. Omar boarded, strapping himself into the reinforced cabin built just for him. Soldiers cheered as the plane lifted into the smoky sky. Cairo grew smaller beneath him, the pyramids catching dawn light one last time before vanishing into cloud. He closed his eyes. For a moment, silence. Then visions came, visions of fire, of hieroglyphs blazing across deserts, of titans rising from sea and stone. His heartbeat synced with the pulse of something ancient, something waiting. Hours later, the jet crossed into Russian skies. Below, chaos unfolded. The Siberian titan strode across tundra, mountains crumbling beneath its steps. Its icy body radiated cold, so intense trees froze and shattered in its wake. Entire villages vanished under avalanches triggered by its movement. The Russian military's missiles struck uselessly, exploding against its frozen armor like sparks on steel. Tanks were crushed into snow, men scattered like ants. The titan roared again, its sound rolling across continents. The howl of the wolf titan had been rage. This one was hunger. Inside the jet, Omar opened his eyes. The fire had returned to them. He whispered to himself, a promise etched in steel. Then let humanity be the flame that never dies. The jet descended. The world held its breath. The jet cut through black clouds, engines rattling from the turbulence of shockwaves. Below, the Siberian wasteland was chaos. Columns of smoke rose from burning forests. Villages lay flattened. Rivers frozen solid mid-flow. The titan walked through it all. A living avalanche. Its body was a grotesque fortress of ice and stone, its spine jagged like a glacier's ridge. Every step cracked the earth, releasing plumes of frozen mist that swallowed entire towns. The pilot's voice shook. We're in range. Dropping point in 2 minutes. Omar stood, tightening the golden straps of his Egyptian battle harness. He could feel the ancient script burning across his chest, pulsing with each heartbeat like molten brands. His fists clenched. This was no longer about Egypt alone. The war had spread. Humanity itself was under siege. The drop. The hatch opened. The Siberian wind screamed in, biting cold that cut like blades. Soldiers inside shivered under layers of gear. Omar stood bare-chested, his muscles steaming from the heat radiating off him. Kareem's voice crackled over the radio. Brother, if you're hearing this, don't you dare die in that frozen wasteland. You hear me? Don't you dare. Omar smirked faintly. I don't plan to die. I plan to end this. And he leapt. He plummeted like a meteor, fists forward, flames igniting midair as his body caught fire against the frozen wind. Below, the titan turned its colossal head, sensing him. For the first time, the monster hesitated. Then Omar struck. Impact. The earth convulsed. A crater exploded beneath his landing. The titan staggered, snow and rock blasting skyward in shockwaves. Omar stood in the epicenter, his feet sunk into the frozen ground, steam pouring off him as fire battled against Siberia's cold. The titan roared. The first clash. It swung its massive claw. A glacier-sized arm swept across the tundra, uprooting frozen pines like matchsticks. Omar met it head-on, bracing his legs, fists blazing. His knuckles collided with its claw, the impact ringing like thunder across miles. The ice shattered, shards flying like daggers. But Omar was hurled back, smashing through a frozen ridge, blood spraying from his mouth. He rose instantly, wiping it with his forearm. His fire burned brighter, but his chest ached. That single strike had felt heavier than the wolf titan's full force. The titan advanced, each step shaking the tundra. Its breath froze the air into jagged shards of ice, a storm of death rolling with every exhale. Omar ran toward it. He sprinted across broken earth, leaping boulders, dodging collapsing glaciers. His speed was inhuman, his body igniting the snow into steam as he charged. He vaulted onto the titan's leg, driving his fists into its icy armor. Cracks spread, glowing red from the heat of his blows. But the titan roared and slammed its leg into the ground. Omar was flung like a rag doll, smashing into frozen cliffs that collapsed around him. Still he rose. Always. Humanity watches. Far away, satellites transmitted live images. Screens across Earth lit with a sight. A lone man, glowing with fire, facing a titan the size of a mountain. In war rooms and living rooms alike, humanity watched in silence. In Cairo, Amina clutched the screen, whispering through tears, "Please, Omar, please survive." In Moscow, civilians crowded shelters, their voices uniting in prayer for the Egyptian warrior who carried all their hopes. For the first time in history, borders dissolved. Every eye on earth was fixed on one man. The fire awakens. The Titan's massive hand descended, aiming to crush him into the tundra. Omar raised both fists, and fire erupted from him like a volcano. Golden flames wrapped his body, spiraling into the sky. The hand struck, then stopped. Omar held aloft, his arms trembling, his muscles straining to the edge of tearing. His roar matched the Titan's. Flames surged higher, melting its frozen flesh, exposing raw bone beneath. With a primal scream, Omar twisted, hurling the Titan's hand aside. The monster reeled, bellowing in pain. Omar didn't wait. He sprinted up its arm, every step scorching the ice, leaving molten footprints in his wake. His fists became hammers, pounding into its flesh, each strike exploding shards of frost and blood. He reached its chest, and drove both fists deep into the icy armor. The Titan howled, staggering backward, collapsing mountains under its weight. For a heartbeat, Omar thought he had won. The Titan evolves. But then it happened. The cracks in its chest glowed, not with fire, but with blue. A terrible light. Its body refroze instantly, sealing the wounds. Its eyes blazed brighter, the glow spreading down its arms. It roared, unleashing a shock wave of cold that turned the battlefield into instant ice. Rivers froze mid-flow, entire forests crystallized. Omar was thrown back, his flames dimming, his skin frosting over. For the first time, his fire faltered. He landed hard, his body trembling, ice creeping across his shoulders. His breath came in ragged gasps. The Titan loomed, stronger than before, its body reforged by the very damage he inflicted. This was no ordinary monster. This Titan adapted. Omar dropped to one knee, steam rising off his body, frost crawling across his arms. His vision blurred. But then he remembered Amina's voice. Kareem's words. Humanity's eyes watching. He clenched his fists. Flames sputtered, then roared back, burning away the frost. His voice rose above the storm. You adapt? Then adapt to fire that never dies. He charged again. The battlefield turns to ice. The Titan towered above, its colossal body shimmering with jagged ice spines. Every breath froze the air into lethal shards that rained down like crystal spears. The Siberian wasteland had become an endless graveyard of frost. Entire forests encased, rivers silenced under glass, mountains crumbling beneath sheets of ice. And in the middle of it, Omar stood alone. His fire flickered, his body steaming, but his skin was cracking, frost climbing his shoulders. He clenched his fists, golden flames trying to resist the storm. This thing, he muttered between ragged breaths. This thing learns faster than me. The Titan's glowing eyes locked onto him. Its roar shattered the frozen silence, a sound so immense that wolves hundreds of miles away fell dead from shock. Then it charged. The second clash. The Titan's claw descended, large enough to crush a city block. Omar dodged, sprinting across shattered ice, leaving burning footprints that hissed against the frozen tundra. He leapt onto its arm, fists pounding into the armor of ice. Each strike exploded shards, fire melting pathways into its body. The monster roared, shaking violently, trying to dislodge him. Omar held tight, teeth gritted, and drove his fist deep, flames bursting like a cannon shot. A geyser of steam erupted, and the Titan howled in pain. But then it adapted again. The ice regrew instantly, sealing over the wound. Worse, jagged spikes erupted from its skin, piercing Omar's side. Blood sprayed across the white snow. He fell, smashing into the ground, fire sputtering out for a second. Pain blinded him. He pressed a hand to his ribs. Warm blood leaked between his fingers. The Titan's voice rumbled, not in words, but in pure domination. A howl that shook the heavens. The breaking point. Omar forced himself to stand, staggering. The wound slowed him, but his eyes burned with fury. He looked up at the Titan, So enormous, so relentless, so impossible. For a flicker, doubt entered him. Maybe I can't win this. Then he remembered Amina's tears, Kareem's voice, humanity watching, billions holding their breath. He clenched his fists. You want me broken? His voice shook the tundra. You'll have to break every human heart on Earth first. His flames reignited, stronger, wrapping his body in golden fire. The snow beneath him evaporated into steam. He sprinted again, faster than before, every step shattering ice. He hurled himself onto the Titan's chest, hammering both fists. Each blow echoed like artillery, cracking its frozen armor. This time he didn't stop. He rained blows in a blur, hundreds of strikes per second. His knuckles tore open, blood mixing with flame. His pain became fuel. The Titan staggered, howling, its chest glowing with fractures of molten red. Humanity's last broadcast. In war rooms across the globe, military officials watched the live feed. Generals who had doubted humanity's chances fell silent. In Cairo, Amina pressed her hands against the screen, sobbing. Omar, please, don't let them take you. In Moscow, soldiers stopped fighting to watch. Civilians crowded together, chanting his name in unison. Omar, Omar, Omar. For the first time in history, every nation united, not under a flag, not under politics, but under one man's fists. The Titan strikes back. The Titan, enraged, slammed both arms down, creating a shockwave that split the ground. Omar was flung high into the air, his body spinning, blood spraying. He landed hard, the ground cracking beneath him. His chest burned with broken ribs. His breath came shallow. The Titan approached, slow and inevitable, its claws casting shadows that swallowed him whole. Its chest glowed brighter with icy energy, preparing a finishing strike, a storm that would freeze the world. Omar lay there, vision blurring. His fire flickered weakly. He felt the cold crawl over him like death. Was this the end? The memory of fire. He saw flashes. His mother's laughter. Kareem's loyalty. Amina's voice, whispering prayers. Children in Cairo, cheering his name. Soldiers standing tall beside him. He realized then, his fire wasn't his alone. It had never been. He whispered through clenched teeth, I am not just Omar. I am every human who refused to bow. His body erupted in golden flame, brighter than ever. His wounds cauterized instantly. His eyes glowed like suns. He stood, roaring louder than the Titan itself. The snow for miles vaporized. The sky lit up, as though a second sun had risen from Earth. The turning point. The Titan unleashed its ice storm, a blast of frozen energy meant to erase him. Omar met it head-on. Fire and frost collided, the clash splitting the sky, blinding light engulfing the tundra. The shock wave flattened forests, cracked mountains, sent avalanches crashing for miles. When the light cleared, Omar still stood. His fire consumed the storm, swallowing the cold. The Titan staggered, its chest smoking, its armor melting under the relentless heat. For the first time, the Titan hesitated. Omar stepped forward, fists blazing, voice echoing across the frozen wasteland. You are a Titan, but I am human, and humanity never surrenders. The core awakens. The wolf Titan froze. Its body trembled, not with fear, but with awakening. From deep inside its chest, a blinding glow erupted, brighter than the aurora across Siberia's night sky. The ice plating cracked, glowing veins of blue fire pulsed like arteries. Then came a sound. Not a roar, not a howl, something deeper. The sound of Earth itself shattering. The Titan's true heart had awoken. Omar staggered, bloodied, half-broken, but standing. His fists still blazed. He knew in that instant, everything until now had been just the surface. This was the core, the beast soul. If he didn't destroy it now, humanity was finished. The final ascent. The Titan slammed its claws into the frozen ground, creating a shockwave that sent mountains tumbling. Omar leapt, flames bursting from his legs, soaring higher than ever before. He landed on its chest, gripping the cracked ice with bleeding hands. His body screamed in agony, his ribs broken, skin frozen and burned all at once. But he didn't stop. He began climbing, up the chest, past jagged spikes of ice that cut his flesh. Every movement left blood smeared across the monster's body. His fire burned pathways through the frost. The Titan howled, trying to shake him off, smashing itself against mountains, clawing at its own chest. But Omar refused to let go. Every strike from the Titan only drove him harder. The heart's barrier. At last, he reached the glowing cavity in its chest, a swirling vortex of ice and energy, pulsing like a frozen sun. But guarding it were crystalline ribs, regenerating faster than fire could melt. Omar hammered his fists against them. Sparks and steam exploded. The ice cracked, reformed, cracked again. His fists tore open. Knuckles shattered. Blood poured. Still he struck. "Break," he screamed, his voice cracking the sky. And finally, one rib shattered. A gap opened. The Titan screamed, its body convulsing, trying to crush him with waves of frost. Omar's fire flared hotter, fueled by every memory, every voice, every tear shed for him. The strike of humanity. He pressed both fists together, fire swirling into a sphere of blinding gold. His body convulsed, skin burning away, muscles tearing under the force. This was more than fire. It was humanity's final weapon. He drove his fists into the Titan's heart. The world went silent. For a moment, nothing moved. Then, the heart cracked. A beam of golden fire exploded outward, piercing the sky. The Titan howled, not in rage, but in despair. Its body convulsed, ice shattering across the tundra. Omar screamed with it, his voice tearing through the storm. "This is for humanity." He struck again, and with a final earth-shaking blow, the heart shattered into shards of frozen light. The fall of the Titan. The wolf Titan's eyes dimmed. Its colossal body trembled, then collapsed. Mountains split, valleys crumbled, glaciers shattered as the monster fell. The ground shook like the end of the world. And at the center of it all, Omar stood, burned, bloodied, barely breathing, but alive. The Titan lay dead. The Siberian sky cleared. For the first time in centuries, the stars shone over the tundra. The price paid. Omar staggered, falling to his knees. His body was wrecked, bones broken, skin scorched, lungs on fire. He could barely move. The comms crackled. Amina's voice broken with tears. "Omar, you did it. You actually did it." He smiled faintly, whispering, "It wasn't me. It was all of us." Soldiers across the tundra dropped their weapons and saluted. Civilians across the world erupted into cheers. Humanity had survived. But Omar knew this was not the end. The dark horizon. As he collapsed against the ice, his vision blurred. The world felt distant. But just before he lost consciousness, he heard it. A howl. Not from the fallen Titan. From beyond the horizon. The sound was deeper, older, and far more terrible. Omar's eyes widened. His body shivered, not from cold, but from dread. The wolf Titan had been only one, and something far greater was coming.